Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us. And for people who are watching on YouTube or Facebook or Super Talk TV, you notice that there's some camera changes during the show today. We've had to switch between a couple of different computers and three different cameras to finish the show today. We're working through some technical issues, but we'll get it done. It's great to talk to Mark, and you can see from that conversation that there needs to be something done to correct this issue around supplemental feeding and being close to it when you're turkey hunting. We don't want people who are legally supplemental feeding deer to be in a situation where they're hunting turkeys nowhere near where they're supplementing deer and still be in violation of the law because of some discretion. So that needs to be fixed, and hopefully we can do that relatively soon. And then eventually we're going to have this bigger conversation about supplemental feeding in Mississippi in general, just because the CWD story continues to not be good for us. And we better be very aggressive in managing it, or we will be very, very unhappy in the future. Okay. Hey, listen, last Monday we had the opportunity to visit with my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels from here on the coast, and I've invited him to come back with us. We talked about the freeze impact. There are assessments that are going on right now. He also serves on the Mississippi Department the Department of Marine Resources. He's on the commission there. And we wanted to get an update. In the meantime, I got an update from Louisiana, and we can share some notes. So, Ronnie, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. Getting ready to head out on the water this afternoon. Go see what we've got out there today.
Good. So listen, for people who didn't hear us last week, the freeze was significant, and the reason it made it so bad is because fish got into lagoons and shallow water and couldn't get out. Usually, if they can find deep water or whatever, they can save themselves. But we saw substantial fish kills in places like Alabama Barrier Islands, Mississippi Barrier Islands like Horn Island and Ship Island, the Chandelier Islands, the Louisiana Marsh. And I've got deeper report on what's happening with the fish kills over in Louisiana, because I know a lot of people in Mississippi, they leave from Mississippi ports and fish the Louisiana waters. We talked about the assessment that was happening within the Department of Marine Resources. What new can you tell me about that assessment?
I don't have a whole lot that's new. I reached out to Trevor last night and we had a little conversation. He sent me the press release that Louisiana had put out. We're getting ready to put one out ourselves. Not much has changed from what we talked about Monday. As of right now, it does not look like we're going to be looking at any type of management changes or anything like that as a result of the weather event.
Well, listen, in Louisiana, they investigated 71 fish kills. These are separate areas where substantial dead fish were noted, and not all of those were in coastal areas. Highest were spotted trout and black drum mortalities in Terrebonne and Timbalare Basin. Let's see. Highest red drum and sheephead mortalities in Barataria Basin. Striped mullet mortality highest east of the river, which is toward our direction, and we saw that too at Chandelier and at Ship Island. The video that I posted at Ship Island that had mullet and speckled trout in it. And what's interesting about that, incidentally, is thousands of people have interacted with it, which means there are a lot of people across the state who really are eager to understand what's happening here because they love fishing on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And let's see, the last note here, highest overall mortalities of a variety of species have been observed in coastal marshes between Mississippi and the Chafalaya rivers. So it just goes on from there. It says they're still doing an assessment and comparing it to the freeze of 1989, and they're continuing the assessment. But that sounds. I mean, look, it could have been everywhere, and it doesn't sound like it was everywhere. So if there was the opportunity for fish to get into deeper areas, they were saved. But it's not like it was I mean, it may sound bad. The videos may look bad, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I think you have to keep things in perspective. As with anything else on social media, I know there's a lot of really bad looking pictures and videos out there, but it's the same typical thing you get with social media. You're going to see the worst of the worst, right? You don't see pictures of nothing because there's nothing to see there. So all the waters where we found nothing, you're not seeing that posted on social media, but you're going to see everything else. And, like I said, it was worse than we would have liked. It was a lot better than it could have been. And, as of right now, that's what it's looking like for us with everything that we found. We'll get another update at our commission meeting next week, and hopefully everything stays the same. We don't get any new news that we hadn't heard about so far, but at this point, I don't expect that.
Hey, listen, we also had an equal good reaction, a good amount of interaction with a video that SuperTalk Outdoors on Facebook posted from Captain Richard Schmidt, where he's showing fly fishing for redfish and just redfish everywhere, tremendous success. It's really interesting because this time of year, the water is just crystal clear. And one of the debates, incidentally, and that was at Chandelier where that particular video came from. I think it was important, actually, to your point. People want to post the bad stuff, and you're not getting a lot of great videos of the fish that you're catching and everyone's catching that Richard's catching. But the video from Ship Island with the dead fish in it, the water looked so clear. People were debating about whether that was Key West or not. That can't be coastal Mississippi. We've got brown water here. We don't have clear water like that. There's no way that clear water is at Ship Island. But boy, this time of year, I don't care what barrier island you go to, Cat Island, for example. I mean, it can literally feel like you're in Key West, can it?
Last week, I absolutely ran into that. We got up in the South Bayou at Cat Island, and we're working through there, able to see fish like you were looking into an aquarium. And I got into some areas that had some deeper holes in those bayous, and I mean, it just almost looked cobalt blue looking down into these holes, which totally blew my mind. I mean, if you spend any time out there during the winter, the water is going to clean up whenever the temperatures are down. But this was something like I've never seen, with just the coloration of it. I don't know, it may have been the lighting that day, but in up to 4 or even 5 feet of water, I was able to see oyster shells perfectly clear on the bottom. Anything that was on the bottom, we were able to see it.
It's breathtaking. One of the things my sons like to do, I mean, we dive and we spearfish, but when we find like a good tide line with some sargassum grass or whatever on it, they love to get in the water, especially when there's a water change. And one of the things they like to do, I mean, we'll spearfish, all kinds of stuff, but what they really like to do is get up underneath that sargassum grass and just look, because there's so many different species of fish that are there and whatever. But you just don't think of Mississippi coast being like that, but it is. It can be absolutely off the charts, beautiful and competitive with anywhere else in the United States, can it?
It can, and it's really nice whenever it's like that. But another big point that a lot of people have to realize, during the summer, whenever our water doesn't look that nice, it's not necessarily a bad thing. That's what makes our fishery so good. That's what makes our estuary thrive. And while we've got so many species and our fish are so healthy here, is from the quality of the water that we have.
It is. In fact, I mean, some of my best fishing never happens in cobalt blue water, although it's nice to see that every now and then. I like green water, And then when you're around the barrier islands, I mean, you semi-clarity is good. Speckled trout like high salinity. They like clearer water. But there's a nice little like sweet spot there that you really want to find. And when you find it, you're going to find fish, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. And, whenever we get this super clean, clear water like we have right now, you really have to change your tactics up from what you would normally do around here. You've got to be running lighter leaders. A popping cork will scare a fish to death in this kind of clear water, especially whenever it's calm. Lighter tackle, lighter line, lighter hooks. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do, because you can see the fish right there, but you can't get them to eat, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, my son Jordan is kind of a fish whisperer. He can catch fish in places where nobody else can. You've met people like that, I'm sure. But this time of year, he likes to use a weighted jig, but tiny, tiny, with some kind of rubber that's got some motion on it. But you would be well, you won't be surprised because you've seen it all. But the average person would be surprised how small the lure he's using, and he's working it super slow,
Yep.
and it is amazing how effective it is.
Yeah, and you know that's one of the things, especially our clients that come in from out of town. They'll see me tie these little small hooks on, and they're like, "Well, what are we going to catch with that?" It blows their mind whenever they pull in a 30-pound redfish with tiny little hook that they thought was made for brim. You know.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. Hey, listen, we'll continue our conversation with my friend Ronnie Daniels, who's the captain for Fisherman Guide Service, and we'll see you after this. Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I always enjoy talking about coastal fishing, and we've you've seen the pictures of the impact of the freeze along the Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama coast, maybe even into Florida Panhandle to some extent. But the story at the end of the day, while the pictures look bad, the story's not terrible. In fact, the story is not even really ultimately bad. I think we're gonna survive it. What we've learned, and we're having a conversation with my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels from Fisherman Guide Service, and a regular on this show. He was with me last week talking about this subject. We wanted to give an update. What we've learned, Ronnie, is that the resource is unbelievably resilient, isn't it?
Yeah, resources absolutely are. Now, you know, they need our care, they need our oversight, but they our waters are resilient. But we've got to protect them at the same time. And you know,
Yeah.
to me, one of the things that's most important, as important as managing our resources, is getting young people started in our sport, right? Getting
Right.
kids introduced to the sport, and that's something we've got coming up. One of my favorite events of the year coming up next weekend at the Biloxi Boat Show is my Kids Fishing 101 program.
Tell me all about it, man. I'm so excited for that. I'm so proud of you for doing that.
And you know, about I don't know, 8-9 years ago, I had this idea, and I had a really good relationship with the folks over at the boat show, and they said, "Let's do it here." Sorry, my wife said it out the door,
That's okay.
and we started it, and it was a huge success. So Saturday and Sunday at the boat show next weekend, we will have a room set up at 1 o'clock. The kids get to come in free. They get in the boat show free if they're 15 or under. We'll have somewhere between 8 and 10 tables set up for them. It's interactive, it's informative, it's fun. They're going to learn stuff. They're going to have a good time. They're going to leave there with some goodies. We've been lucky enough to have some great sponsors like Keesler Federal and CCA. CCA gives us 100 rods each day to give away to the kids that come in. Doesn't cost anything. All they have to do is come in, go through the tables. They're going to learn how to throw a cast net. They're going to learn how to throw a rod. They're going to have information given to them by different departments in DMR about invasive species, IMMS about turtles. We'll have CETO there making sure they know how to properly put on a life vest. We'll have Marine Patrol there talking to them about how to be safe on a boat. It's just really a great all-around program.
That is so cool. So give us the details again. Where do they go? What time, etc.
So the Biloxi Boat Show is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 till 7 each day at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have a separate room set up inside the boat show. You can't miss it. These kids start lining up early, and we get loud, and we have fun, and you're going to see a huge line of kids in there. I'll also be making announcements about it. Get in line a little early, 12:30, 12:45. That's usually whenever it's going to start lining up. 1 o'clock, we'll open the doors. We'll bring them in. We're going to keep it going till all the kids get through.
Can you be too young?
Man, I've had kids come through in strollers. I mean, obviously, they're probably not going to take away near as much. Usually, it looks like anywhere in that 4-year-old range on up. That's who gets the most bang for their buck out of it.
That is so cool. I was just thinking about my grandkids. Obviously getting them involved because they fit that age range that you're talking about. All four of them, and they've been fishing since they can. I mean, they've been fishing since even when they were in a stroller. But the reality is that you can always learn a little bit more. There's always another angle. You can never learn it all, and when you focus on safety, especially, you can't get that message enough, can you?
No, absolutely not. That's why we've always got two tables set up, one with life vest, one with boat safety. And then there's all the other interactive fun stuff. Even if your kids fish a lot and they know a lot about being on the water, they spend a lot of time on the water, there's still stuff there for them as well. Boat show has other cool stuff going on too. This year we're going to have a shark exhibit there. They're going to have a tank with live sharks in it. Kids will be able to learn about that. It'll be, I think, 2 or 3 times on Saturday. I think 2 times on Friday they'll do their show, and I think twice on Sunday. But there's a lot for the whole family there. You know, anything from boats, motors, fudge. The fudge gets me every year. I think they set me up right by the fudge by the fudge booth. So I'm going to fail each year with that. I can't ever pass that up.
I always enjoy going, Ronnie, and just walking around and talking to people. I always see old friends there. It never fails. Every year, I'm gonna bump into somebody I hadn't seen in 20 years, and we're gonna get a chance to share our stories.
Yeah, I see a lot of old friends, a lot of people from back whenever I first started fishing. You know, you never know who you're going to see out there. Another thing that we've got going on as well, we've got our seminar series. So we're going to have industry professionals and fishermen doing seminars each day. We've got one on Friday, 3 on Saturday, one on Sunday, talking about everything from boat care to fly fishing, bass fishing. I've got a good friend, Joel Davis, which is a big bass fisherman. He's going to give a talk on that on Saturday.
That's awesome, man. That's the boat show coming up this weekend, starting Friday. So look it up and get your kids involved. You can never get kids involved enough in the outdoors. Ronnie, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you.
Thank you, Ricky. I enjoyed it.
It's been Captain Ronnie Daniels from down here on the coast, and we'll stay in touch with the fishing situation here in coastal Mississippi, which is not as bad as it may have first appeared to be. Anyway, stay safe when you're in the outdoors. Always put safety first. God bless you, and we'll see you next Monday.